Now, as a reminder, you guys, make sure you stay tuned to the very end of the video. We'll be doing a small reading of these awesome children's books my children had chosen for these projects. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into Barley Studios. Now, today in the studio, we're going to have a blast. We're going to do some painting, some crafting, as well as just some overall fun content. We are also going to be doing some book reading along the way also. So sit back and enjoy, guys. This is going to be a blast of a video. Let's get to it. Now, if you clicked on this video, you probably already know that we're going to have a blast painting some pumpkins. We're also going to be doing some sculpting and some crafting along the way with paper products and a lot of glitter. Now, here are some of the rules for these types of projects. One, it has to be a real pumpkin. In the past, I've really wanted to do the plastic pumpkins so the kids can keep them for a little bit longer in their room, but it is just a real pumpkin painting scenario. And that's just so that anybody can go to like a Walmart or a Food Line and just get a small pumpkin and then paint it out. And you don't have to buy something plastic that can be ranging upwards of $15 to $20 to $30 at a local Michael's or Hobby Lobby. So it needs to be a real pumpkin. It also can only be but so big. So we're going to just do a small version of a larger one. And of course we have our other pumpkin carving coming up later in the season. But today it's more so just about crafting the pumpkins. Now, another rule is that you cannot cut into the pumpkin, so it has to be just painted, glued on, and things like that. Now, there are some little difficulties with gluing things to a waxy surface pumpkin, and we'll kind of get into that later on in the process. It also needs to be a book character because it is kind of hosted from their internal library at the school. So what I normally will do is I will ask the kids to pick one of their most favorite books and pick a character in that book, and then we will try to make it that character. Last year in the 2024 season, we actually made it a kitty corn, so it was like a kitty who wanted to be a unicorn. But this is the 2025 season, and we have 2 children, so we are going to be doing 2 pumpkins. Now that is super exciting, you guys. Not only does it allow us to maybe just craft more and paint more in the studio, but it also applies a little bit of stress to me because we only have a whopping 2 days to create all of the attachments and paint this to perfection. 2 days for drying clay or anything like that is a strain on the crafting process, but it is completely okay. I know, you want to know what characters and what books we are introducing to this project, and we're going to get to that now. Now, as a last reminder, for these pumpkin painting videos for 2025, whichever one you're watching, we are going to be allowing the kids to do majority of this work. I, of course, will be assisting them. I will be doing a little bit of the sculpt work on some of the anatomy pieces that are attached to the pumpkins. But for the most part, when it comes to painting and glitter and gluing and cutting out the paper and glittering paper or anything like that, the kids are doing majority of that. My daughter really does take off, and of course she's did one of these last year for the kitty corn, and we're using a lot of the same techniques because of the type of character we're choosing this year. It's very fun, very cool. But just be aware that I am assisting the kids in doing so. If you are a kid and you are watching this, and this isn't necessarily a children's made content video, do not be worried that you can't achieve some of the more advanced techniques that I may have in this video. Have fun with the process. If you want to make something out of paper or toilet paper rolls or anything like that, just enjoy yourself. Have fun. Throw some paint on the pumpkin. Draw some eyes. Make some nostril holes. And just enjoy the process. That is the most important thing when we are making art on our journey or in the studio or wherever you are. And that's even if it's on the bathroom wall with a tube of toothpaste. So remember that these are a little bit more advanced pumpkins. Enjoy your process, enjoy the journey, and let's get into introducing these book characters. Now, the very first book and character that we're going to be crafting into a pumpkin today is going to be the New York Times bestseller, The Pout Pout Fish. Now, this is one of our very favorite books. And of course, every generation has their own little book that they just pick up and just stays with the entire family for all of the children. And this is one of those books for us. This book is absolutely beyond amazing. And it's not just great because I also like to like apply my own voices to this because we've read it so many times. It has a little bit of rhyming in it. It's very fun, and even sometimes with me reading as fast as I do through this book, I still stumble upon my own words sometimes. Now, this book is wrote by Deborah Dyson, and the pictures are from Dan Hanna. Now, this is a great book, you guys. So if you enjoy the book, if you enjoy the crafting process for us making the Pout Pout Fish, make sure you purchase this book from wherever you can, whether it be Amazon or... Now, let's just go ahead and run through a synopsis of the back of the book before we get into the actual reading. Swim along with the Pout Pout Fish as he discovers that being glum and spreading dreary wearies isn't really his destiny. Bright ocean colors and playful rhyme come together in this fun fish story that's sure to turn even the poutiest of frowns upside down. Now, this is great. A Time Magazine Top 10 Children's Book. Again, one of our favorites. Alright, you guys, so let's jump into this awesome pumpkin painting video. Now, again, this is my son's pumpkin. We also did my daughter's pumpkin as well, so if you want to see a more girly pumpkin, you can check that out. Now, this is, again, going to be the Pout Pout Fish. We do not need the stem, so I went ahead and scored it on all sides and just broke it off. Now, here's the book in itself, and we'll be doing a reading of that at the end of the video. So we have a lot of paints and glitters and things sitting off to the side. We'll be using that for both projects because we're doing both pumpkins in literally like a day and a half, maybe 2 days. We're going to start off with a bunch of turquoise here and a little bit of like just off blue, like a light blue. You can just call it like a powder blue or something like that. It's just a generic type of craft paint, and you can get those in big cases off of Amazon. You can find that on my Amazon affiliate list. If you want to get a big old case of all varieties of paint that we use here in the studio, then you can find that down below. Cool deal? Alright. Here is my son base coating the pumpkin. Now, just remember that when you paint your pumpkins, a lot of them have different grades of waxy surfaces. You know, that's what protects the pumpkin when it's out in the elements and allows that pumpkin to just last a very long time. So when you attach paint to it and you do like a lot of like crafting on it and glue and all that stuff, it doesn't really want to adhere well to the outside jacket of the pumpkin. That's just naturally going to happen. And you can get different variations of let's call it sticking of the paint to the pumpkin, depending on what type of paint you're using and how thin that paint layer are. Those layers are. So just be aware. You just throw the paint on there and just have fun, right? You'll see later in the process that I do get a little bit of paint pulling. So like that, what that means for anybody just getting started on this is that we went ahead and painted it. It dried. It cured up. But we are expediting it quite a bit. And what happened is, as we were kind of working with it, some of the paint starts to peel off in different areas, and that's just problematic. So it leaves big orange like spots here and there, and I have to go back and like touch it up a little bit. So just be aware when you're painting your pumpkin. Just just take your time and just do the best you can. Sometimes if you're painting like one side, when you can be a little bit more rough with the other sides that aren't painted, then it's a little bit easier. But we were doing a full paint all the way around the entire pumpkin. Once it's fully painted out, we can begin a little bit of clay work. I don't know if you remember at the very beginning of the video, I did state that I was going to be doing some clay work for the pumpkin. And that's indeed what we're doing here. Now, I'm using Sculpey Original Clay for majority of the anatomy pieces of the Pout Pout Fish. Starting off with the mouth. Yes, that dreary, weary mouth. So we want to go ahead and create just a little roll or a worm of clay. And then we're going to kind of bend it in a just nice curve. Now, I'm not going to curve this to the actual shape of the pumpkin. I decided to keep it very flat. And although it does have a curvature down, we're not going to curve it around the sides or the ribs of the pumpkin. So it'll have like a very kind of like 2D type of look when you're looking at it from the front. Alright, so there's our lower lip there, or upper lip if you want to look at it that way. So we're going to go ahead and cut the ends off there, just kind of taper that a little bit there. And we're going to give us just some generic textures along the inside portions of the lip, just to give us a little bit of fun painting and dry brushing later on in the process video. If you do look at the cartoon version of the Pout Pout Fish on the book cover, it does have some striations or painted lines on the lips as well as around the rest of the body. So we want to capture a little bit of that if we can later on in the process. Just using a simple tool here just to apply some indentions here, and it'll look really good later on in the process. There we go. Now we'll set this off to the side as we sculpt out the rest of the pieces, and then we also need to sculpt out the eyes. I was playing with the idea of applying a little bit of clay to the very top of the pumpkin and making I guess it's like a little bit of a fin, like a fin on the top of the top of the Pout Pout Fish's head. And I did not like the way it kind of looked, so I decided to hang tight, and I decided to let my son kind of guide me in what he would like for it to look like. So we are going to use a different type of clay for that. But this is me sculpting the fins on both sides of the Pout Pout fish. And the way we're depicting this is that the fins will be coming down off the sides of the pumpkin or the body, and then they will be kind of flattened out a little bit. I did at one point have them break free, and I had to glue them again, so they just didn't get a great connection on the sides. And when I remounted them to the body again, I decided to give them a little bit of a lift, so they're not actually making contact with the desktop again. They're actually lifted up slightly. So I'll kind of mention that again later though. So this, I have two eyes kind of rolled out here, just like nice oval shapes. And what we're going to do is we've rolled out a little bit of Sculpey Original clay with our lasagna press. And we're going to go ahead and apply the eyelids here. The eyelids are really what bring those eyes to life. And then we'll also use a tool to kind of make a little like a pupil or like a little bit of a dot for the black portions of the eyeball there. I'm going to put the other side on there as well. There's the lower eyelid there. Now when you do apply your eyes to the pumpkin surface, you need to make sure that you angle them correctly. After all, we're not making a angry Pout Pout fish. We are making a sad or dreary, weary Pout Pout fish. We don't want the Pout Pout fish to be raging at anybody or angry. So make sure you pay attention to those smaller details. I'm also going to roll out a little bit of little creases here. These are little wrinkles or like little sad lines that can go underneath the eyes. Something very easy, very simplistic. Just rolled out the clay and we're curving it just to apply to the pumpkin. Now here is the pumpkin already cured up. It's been curing up for about 2 or 3 hours as we sculpted out the rest of those pieces. And I did go ahead and oven bake those. I actually forgot that they were in the oven at 275 for almost an hour. A little bit too long, okay? Usually it's about maybe 15 to 25 minutes, and then it should be good. I may have left it even longer than an hour, but yeah, don't forget your clay in the oven because it will not only will discolor it, but eventually it'll weaken it as well. It'll just overcook it and it'll become brittle. But I was able to get it out, and it's pretty good overall. Again, remember that this clay is only going to be used for 1 week, and then the pumpkins are going to be just obliterated. So just be aware that this is all just temporary. Now, there's a few different types of glues that you can use to attach your pumpkins accessories, whether that be pieces of paper or cardboard and stuff, and we'll use some of that stuff later. A lot of times, I like to try to use E6000, but it is like it's an adhesive, so it does have a little bit of a chemical like mixture to it, so it does have a little bit of like I would just say maybe acidity to it. So this paint being as fresh as it is, that glue does want to deteriorate that paint a little bit. And if I waited a little bit longer or put another layer of paint or two on top of this original base layer, then I don't think this would be a problem. And I'm just trying to get the attached pieces to dry as quickly as possible because I only have 1 day to get this done. We have to just get it expedited. So what we're doing here is I'm just using some tape, some clear tape, and we're just attaching these pieces to the sides of the pumpkin, and it's going to hold them in position until the E6000 can dry, which it dries pretty quickly, but because these pieces are so heavy, they don't want to stay in position. So I just go ahead and tape them into position so they can dry out. We'll come back to that in a minute. Now we're going to use a different type of clay for the kids to craft with. Now, my daughter likes to use a Sculpey Original all the time, but we're going to be using a new type of clay that I decided to get it just for them to try for this project. And this is a Play-Doh air dry clay that I purchased at Walmart. Okay, now, I am an avid sculptor. I sculpt amazing things, and I'm very proud of the work that we do. The kids also love to use clays as well. However, this clay is not made for this. It is not. This is a great fun clay for the kids just to have fun and play with, but as you can see here, it is just super soft. It's like a melted marshmallow. It is not made for this. So you'll see in my daughter's pumpkin painting video that she tried to make some dragon horns, and it was just a horrible process. They sagged, they were horrible. I'll mention that in that video. So in this situation, my son was guiding me on how to make the top fin. Okay, well, it kept sagging, so I had to put some armature wire in it to keep it in place. And I don't like for the kids to have to use armature wire to get the desired effect. So because it took so long for that clay to dry, literally an entire day, I'm not very happy with that. Now, if it's something that they're just like puttering around with on on their desk to just have fun sculpting and resculpting and sculpting it 1,000 times, and that's a great clay. It is a beginner grade Play-Doh air dry clay, but it is not designed for even intermediate sculpting. Okay, it just doesn't hold its shape well. So don't buy the Play-Doh clay for this. Don't do it. I'm using at this point in time a hot glue because the E6000 just is not curing up as fast as I need to, and I need to expedite things. So I'm using hot glue to reinforce the connection points between the eyes, which are heavy, the mouth, and the little wrinkles onto the surface of the pumpkin. The hot glue just cures up really fast. It cools really fast against the surface of the pumpkin, and it's just helping me expedite this. I'm also going to cut out, at the spur of the moment, a cardboard tail for the Pout Pout Fish. Now, as you can see, this is this is a Captain Crunch box. Yes, it is. So the kids always say that they want to recycle things, and they come home from school saying they want to recycle, and it's just a great opportunity to use some recycled goods in our crafting process. I almost made the Captain Crunch portion of the box like the back facing, which would just be visible to all the kids in the library at the school. But I decided to go ahead and let my son paint that. And then, of course, he did a lot of like painting of the surface of it, let it dry. We cut out some paper stripes, and he applied those with some stick glue, and just very fun. Now, I'm going to go ahead and, before my son takes over the painting process, I'm going to go ahead and give this a really thorough, very thick base coat layer again. Now, the original color that we used was a turquoise, and it was just a little bit too green. So I decided to lean more towards the light blue this time, and then we're just gonna, I'm just gonna let my son just do a lot of like washes and color shifting paints, and we're gonna do some dry brushing with a fan brush and things like that. We're gonna let him just have fun with that. And then later, very later in the process, we're going to be applying some polka dots with some color shifting purple paint. So you'll see that in the near future. Painting this out right here is just very satisfying. It makes a really good portion of the video just because you really see it transform. And as we apply paint to all of those anatomy parts, it really kind of like blends it all together and makes it feel like more of a cohesive or piece of artwork. There we go. Now, once that's on there and it's dried a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and just water down a little bit of metallic dark blue. Don't get too hung up on the color of the paints that I'm using here. I don't want y'all to be, like you have to use this type of paint. You do not. Just find a color that you like. Apply a little bit of water to it, and then just use your brush and just throw it on over the base coat, and it will kind of transform the overall look that you have here. Having a little bit of a wash over your base coat will make the overall item feel more deep. It'll make it feel more realistic. So do the base coat and then apply a little bit of a washed layer over top of that. So just add water to your paint, throw it on the item. We're also going to apply a little bit of that watered down paint. Take a little bit of paint like this. And see how dark it is? I don't want you to cover everything up. I want you to go like this, like just like. Very gentle. Take a little bit of this. Put on like that. You're gonna take a little bit of paint with this. Don't do full coverage. I just want you to go over like this. Very sporadic, okay? All right. Don't do like big swoops. Do like little brush strokes like that, okay? Try on the back first. Different directions. There you go. Different. Oh yeah, dude, that looks amazing. That looks awesome. All right, get a little bit more paint. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of paint on your brush. Get just a little bit of paint on your brush. No, that's too much. That's too much. That's too much. That's too much. There you go. Just gentle. Don't big bloops like that. There you go. There you go. Nice thin layers.
I'm making a circle.
Go, move around. Don't stay in the same place.
I'm making a circle.
I love it. As an artist, it's hard to sometimes sit back and watch my kids like do art, and it's like, well, I really want to teach them everything that I know and what I've learned over the years, and I have to be patient and understand that it takes time for them to learn their own process, and just how their hands move and how they control the brushes and stuff. And he's having a blast. He keeps on trying to like rotate the brush around in circles to make dots, and I'm like, just remember, we're gonna put dots on in a little while. He says, well, it's supposed to have purple dots. I'm like, yes, it will have purple dots here in the near future. And we'll get to that here in just a few moments. But so proud of him, and he's doing such a phenomenal job here. He got a little bit bored there, so I do take over just a little bit here, but he did make his way all the way around the outside top of the pumpkin, and it's looking pretty good overall. Once that's on there, I'm going to apply a little bit of color shifting blue paint to this, and I do let him put a few layers of that on. And it's only going to go on the top ribs of the pumpkin just to give it a little bit of shimmer here. Once that is on there, we're going to really let it completely cure up and dry, and then we'll move on to the last stages here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and paint the eyes. My son he got bored pretty quick, so I'm going to let him do some more here in just a few moments, and he's actually going to be finishing up the tail. What we're going to do here is I'm going to apply just the whites of the eyes to the pumpkin here, and applying those whites to the eyes, just straight solid white, is what brings a lot of life to the pumpkin here. I'm also going to apply a little bit of dry brushed white across the entire pumpkin here, and I do let him do this also on the fins as well. So I do let him come back and do this again. You can see I got a little bit of pulling on the paint on the outside edge. I mentioned that earlier. So because it's a waxy surface, sometimes your paint gets pulled, whether it's like the hot glue got stuck to it or something is just not painted thoroughly, and it just got pulled up. You just have to paint over it again and wait for that to cure up again. But otherwise, it's just part of the painting process for a waxy surface like a pumpkin. Take this, and all you're going to do is dip it in the paint like this. Get a little bit on the end of it. And you're going to take it, and you're going to put a little dot right there. See? Alright, you do that. Look. See the dots? Down the front, over on the sides. You don't put dots down here, okay? Only put dots from here and above. Just, there you go. Get a little bit more paint, do another one. Looking pretty good. He really does have a fun time doing this portion, and he was really waiting for the polka dots. He also doesn't want to reload the sponge here as he's applying these polka dots, and I have to keep reminding him. I say, hey, get some more paint. Hey, get some more paint. But he's doing a blast. He's doing a great job, and I'm really proud of how he's doing here. He doesn't like ask to go into the studio as much as my daughter does, but when he does get in there, he does have fun. So here's the tail that he painted all by himself, and he cut out these little shreds of paper to glue to the top. And I'm just reinforcing this with some hot glue here. I want it to naturally curve towards the front of the pumpkin face because that's what it does in the book naturally. So it will sag a little bit, but it's okay to be like designed that way. We're also going to apply a little bit of glitter to those polka dots for some shine. I'm digging it, you guys. All right, you guys, so let's go ahead and read the Pout Pout Fish. Deep in the water where the fish hang out lives a glum, gloomy swimmer with an ever-present pout. I'm a pout pout fish with a pout pout face, so I spread the dreary wearies all over the place. Blub, blub, blub. Along comes a clam with a wide winning grin and a pearl of advice for her pal to take in. Hey, Mr. Fish, with your cross-town frown, don't you think it's time to turn it upside down? Says a fish to his friend. Nice thought, Miss Clam. I hear what you're saying, but it's just the way I am. I'm a pout pout fish with a pout pout face, so I spread the dreary wearies all over the place. Blub, blub, blub. Along comes a jellyfish. He floats through the ocean, his tentacles all trailing in a gentle locomotion. Hey, Mr. Fish, with your daily scaly scowl, I wish you wouldn't greet us with a grimace and a growl. Says a fish to his friend. Mr. Jelly, I agree, I'd like to be more friendly, but it isn't up to me. I'm a pout pout fish with a pout pout face, so I spread the dreary wearies all over the place. Blub, blub, blub. Along comes a squid, quite a slender, squiggly sight. She is squirmy, she is squelchy, she is slightly impolite. Hey, Mr. Fish, you kaleidoscope of mope, how about a smile, a little joy, a little hope? Says a fish to his friend. Mrs. Squid, I would try, but I haven't any choice. Take a look and you'll see why. I'm a pout pout fish with a pout pout face, so I spread the dreary wearies all over the place. Blub, blub, blub. Along comes an octopus with 8 great arms covered on the underside with tiny sucker charms. Hey, Mr. Fish, let me tell you to you straight, you're a hulky, bulking, sulking is an unattractive trait. Says the fish to his friend, Mr. 8, my chum, with a mouth like mine, I'm destined to be glum. I'm a pout pout fish with a pout pout face, so I spread the dreary wearies all over the place. Blub, blub, blub. Now along comes a fish in a silent silver shimmer. The gang has never seen before this bright and brilliant swimmer. She approaches Mr. Fish, but instead of saying, hey, she plants a kiss upon his pout and then she swims away. Mr. Fish is astounded. Mr. Fish is just aghast. He is stone-faced like a statue. Then he blinks and speaks at last. My friends, says Mr. Fish, I should have known it all along. I thought that I was pouty, but it turns out I was wrong. I'm a kiss-kiss fish with a kiss-kiss face, so I spread the cheeries all over the place. Smooch, 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 smooch. That's why I give the kids a bunch of kisses. Good times of having little kids. Anyways, guys, that is an absolute phenomenal book. Now, as we get into the last highlight clips of the final effect of this pumpkin, remember that my son did an amazing job, and I'm super proud of the work that he did. Now, of course, I did help him along the way with some of the sculpted textures, and we used a lot of Sculpey Original to create those body anatomy attachments. We also used a little bit of Crayola clay, and I also had talked about that previously about why I probably won't be using that in the near future again. I was able to help teach my son how to do a lot of the base coating as well as some dry brushing here and there, and we just had an absolute blast. He was also able to use some scissors and paper to create the fin on the back of the Pout Pout fish. Now, it is a very cool project, and remember that no matter what grade you are, enjoy the crafting process and just have fun. I will catch you guys on the next awesome video from Byerly Studios. Hope you enjoy the content. Make sure you like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. How did my son's pumpkin turn out? The Pout Pout Fish is an amazing book, and you should pick it up. Later. Yay, high five!